All right, it looks like we are live, and I'm excited about today because I am doing something a little different. So, first, today is still an Ask Me Anything. For the live streams, unless something changes that I'm not anticipating, I will always take questions and comments, and I'm even going to write that in here right now. You can still ask me anything to get all questions answered. All right, so I put that in the chat. But today I'm going to get right to it. I'm pretty excited about this. The title says it all, right? I tried an experiment. It was somewhat inspired by somebody I did a one-on-one session with, and the experiment helped a lot to get 2 people jobs, past dealing auditions, and it was really cool. And in conversation with them. So these are both people who have neither of them have been poker dealers before, and both of them were learning through True Poker Dealer. And they're the only 2 people I've tried this with, and it worked both times. So I think that says a lot. I do want to be clear, though. Both of these people are people who have watched most of my lessons. Excellent. Hey, what's going on? So finally made it to a live stream is the first comment I have, and that is by one of the 2 people that I tried this experiment with. So I'm super glad that you're here, and maybe you can speak to your experience with this as well. Because what I'm doing is I'm sharing the thing that we did that ultimately helped you correct some of the things that maybe you needed to correct so that you could pass your audition much more smoothly. So what happened was the thing that I did was for both of these people, when they purchased the membership to the full 38 lesson course, along with that, I told them that I would do a one-on-one with them, and the one-on-one was free as long as they purchased. And I did this as an experiment, but what we did during the one-on-one was where the real value was. So I'm going to use his first name just because this is Ben that just made that comment, and Ben's request was to actually do an audition. It was kind of through a combination of him and I talking where we came to that conclusion. And so literally what happened was the experiment was do a video-based audition where he set up stacks at the table, and I told him and dictated what the action would be throughout the hands. And in this experiment, so that's not all there is to it though, okay? In this experiment, the result of it was he went through an entire audition with me, and I gave him feedback and corrections for the entire process of it. So by the end of it, and we recorded the video for both of these. So by the end of it, he had, well, I think we did for him, yeah. By the end of it, he had been given feedback on a bunch of things that he did, and he also, he and I talked about at the end of it, taking 1 or 2 things at a time from that audition, which, I mean, I'm not hiring him for a position, so it's not really an audition, but it's a mock audition, taking 1 or 2 things that I gave feedback on, and dealing out hands afterwards until they're all fixed. So you take 1 or 2 things at a time, you fix those things completely, then you go to the next things, fix those things completely by continuing to deal out hands until by the end of it, the training is super focused and you've made the right corrections. And because in the session, he and I were talking through what the feedback was, he understood the feedback super clearly because it was pertaining directly to him as opposed to being generic in any way. I feel good about offering this to other people that purchase memberships until I don't have time to do it anymore. But I think I want to limit it to 10 or so people. So if anybody else does want to purchase the full course, I want to be clear, this is not something to do until someone has practiced dealing a lot and has learned a lot of this stuff in these courses, in the lessons in the first place. Trying to do an audition if you haven't really learned the mechanics and you haven't really learned the rules of the game and all that stuff will be an absolute nightmare for you. There will be so much that you do wrong that I have to correct that you're not going to be able to just do that and pass an audition cleanly. But if you have gone through the lessons and learned the stuff and tried it yourself, that's where this can be valuable. I mean, basically the question is, do you feel like you have a decent shot at an audition already? If you feel like you have a decent shot at passing an audition, do one with me first, and I'll give you the feedback that 2 times now it's helped. So I wanted to share that with everybody. And Raven's here. Raven, you've got the kitty in the box in 2 different ways. Hello, guys. Good to see you again. Sorry, yous again. Raven, what's up? As always, good to see you here too. And yeah, so here's a live stream. So I wanted to share this. I'm not a particularly good salesperson. All right, it is what it is. I'm very good at coaching. I'm very good at teaching. I am very good when it comes to one-on-one sessions where I'm actually giving corrective feedback on that. I put this in the title of the AMA because I wanted people to be excited about the idea of when you feel like you have a decent shot at getting a poker dealing job, when you feel like you've learned all the stuff in the lessons and you get it for the most part, challenge yourself and do an audition with me. I'll give you those final corrections. And some of these things were like pretty significant. The types of things that I corrected, and maybe Ben, you'll be willing to share a little bit, the types of things that I corrected, some of them were little in the sense that they're not that hard to fix, but they absolutely change the perception of the person auditioning. It goes from, oh, I don't know, to, oh, this person looks clean. That is a huge difference. Poker auditions, when you're trying to get a dealing job, they don't go too far into depth. So when they test you on these types of things that really do, like, just see, does this person know how to deal or not? If, like, I can go and I can see those things and I can just make those corrections. Like, for example, when you pick up the cards in table games, you pick them up by facing them toward yourself. In poker, you pick them up by facing them away from you, right? If I make that type of a correction, that can be the difference between you getting a job and not getting a job. Because if somebody's auditioning you and they see that, they're going to be like, oh, this person didn't learn, or something about it's going to be off. And so it ends up becoming super valuable. It's like your checkpoint before you go in. And in these cases, I think you can, for both of them, I think there were probably between 8 and 12 or so things that got corrected. And I mean, that's it. That makes a huge difference between passing and not passing an audition. So, I mean, especially because neither of these 2 people went to poker dealer school. So yeah, that's just something I wanted to say. Let's see. If I wouldn't have played the night before my audition, I would have been completely sideswiped by the different things my room does. I like that feedback a lot. And what he's referring to is he allowed himself to become familiar with the poker room that he was auditioning at by going there and spending some time and learning the rules their way. And, you know, every poker room is different. It's one of the themes of True Poker Dealer. It's one of the reasons why teaching this is challenging. And having that awareness that there's not one right way to learn how to deal, and you need to, in addition to learning how to deal properly, you also need to learn how the room that you're auditioning deals at, can make a huge difference. So that's very good feedback for anybody that's watching and listening. I do want to remind everybody again, questions, bring them. I wanted to talk through this stuff, but yeah, so far the lessons seem to be working for people pretty well. Particularly the lessons on the back end of the course. And I'm also curious if anybody has any specific feedback for me on any of the stuff that we've done. I spread cards when I'm nervous, right? Everybody's got their thing. But yeah, let's see. But yeah, I'm happy to be back here now, and that's what I'm saying. I am super happy. I'll say 10 or so people that actually purchase a course I am super happy to offer a free one-on-one audition with the first 10 people that decide to purchase. Subject to change, of course, if it takes a long time. But yeah, I mean, this has been a great experience so far, going through and doing all this stuff. And I feel super appreciative that people like it and are learning. So yeah. So let me see. Do you know any cool one-handed cuts? Well, I'm gonna say this. When you cut the deck, if you do it the right way, it should always be one-handed every time. Let me check something here. Are you talking about like in your hand and stuff? You know, it's really funny. It does. You want to see how fast I can sort a deck? I'll do that in a second. I appreciate that question. In terms of one-handed cutting, I tried for years to avoid all of the magic stuff that magicians like to do with cards, because I feel like when it comes to those types of like tricks and stuff, they go against casino procedure. And I tried to teach myself perfect casino procedure, try to teach myself to like always be within that. And I don't know, something about learning how to do the fancy stuff, it would make me want to do it on game. And I feel like that would send the wrong signal and the wrong message. Let me move this a little bit so it stops shaking so much. I don't mind this shaking, I just don't want the camera to shake. All right, so I'll say this. If you want to be good at suiting a deck, you want to be able to do it in less than a minute, okay? I'm going to do it right now with two different methods. The first method I'll use here, I'll shuffle these first so that there's no... Yes, absolutely avoiding magic tricks. Because they teach all this like sleight of hand stuff that you do not want to be tempted to do this stuff as a poker dealer. You really don't. That said, I know plenty of people who do magic that are fine with it. All right, I'm going to suit this deck. I'm going to use not the fastest method first, and then I'm going to see if I can beat it with the fastest method. I'll start at exactly 13 minutes in the video so that we can see. If you're good at suiting a deck, you should be able to do it in less than 1 minute, okay? I have not done this as much lately. We'll see if I'm rusty or not. I'm not sure. I'm curious if I'll be able to do this quickly or not. I was joking. Actually, I'll tell you guys this right after I start. All right, so we got the deck right here, and I will start suiting it now. So my method is clubs and diamonds to the felt. Clubs and diamonds to the felt. I'm losing grip on these. Oh well. This is going slower than I'd like. I can already tell I'm a little bit behind time. So we pick up the clubs and diamonds, and we start with the king. And I'm going to pick it up like this. I feel the pressure of time, but I'm fine with it. How am I doing? Will I make it is the question. I don't know, maybe. Oh, that hurt. 4, 3, 2, ace, king, queen, jack, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, ace. What was that? No, it was over. That's embarrassing. Well, all right, let's try a new method. Hold on. I'll spread this so everyone can see. Yeah, you want to be able to do it in under a minute. I can certainly keep trying until I get to under a minute. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wash these, and I want to show another method. I haven't done this method much. This is the fastest way to do it for sure. But you have to learn how to do it properly. I'm going to have to explain how I did it after, because it's hard to concentrate at the same time. All right, so now I'm going to shuffle them. And I'll start at 15 minutes in this video. That last one I did in 1:07. Terrible time. But it is what it is. All right, so and 15. So you basically just spread, and spread. All right, so you just kind of start. Let's see. 9. I'm looking for the king of diamonds. I don't see it. There it is. 10. Where's the 10? There's the 8, 7. Let's see. 6, 5, 4. Ace. And then we got to get clubs. So I'm just kind of going one suit at a time here. 9. This gets quicker as you get a little further along. Let's see. 4, 3, deuce, ace, and then you should just be able to king. Let's see. Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, deuce, ace. That took over a minute again. Man, that's so embarrassing. All right. So I'm only going to do this. Look, I can do it under a minute. I'm only going to do it under a minute if you guys actually want me to. I don't want to just make people watch me suit decks. Although, the thing I was going to say is I would be, this would be crazy, but if I got, let me see. If I got like 1 million views on one of my new videos, I would suit 100 decks in a row for everybody on a live stream. And just suit 100 decks just to say I've suited 100 decks. If I got 5 million views, I'd suit 1,000, which would take about 16 hours. I calculated that out. Let's see. The second method is not flashy. Yeah, so let's see. Finally made it to a live stream. Hey guys, good. Yep. Do you know any cool one-handed cuts? I don't. Kind of wanted to see how fast you can sort a deck. Yeah, suit that pack TPD. That makes sense. You're a purist at the game. The second method is not flashy, that's for sure. Yeah. And usually you do it with a little bit more space than I did. The idea is it gets really quick at the end if you do it right. Oh man. All right. You know what? I'm going to be honest. Nobody's putting any comments there. We'll turn our heads for a bit while you suit the pack. I feel annoyed that I didn't do it fast enough, and so I'm going to suit a deck in under a minute just because. But if anybody has a question, I'll answer that instead. This is just because nobody's asking anything at this exact moment. But yeah, I'm like wildly annoyed that I did not do that in under a minute. I'm very competitive. I hate not succeeding at stuff like that. All right, let's try this one more time. This will be I'll do it at 18 and a half, and I'll have to get done in less than 19 and a half. I'm like super annoyed. I don't know if you guys can like actually tell, but I'm very annoyed that I took that long. All right, go. Oh man, those seconds are so important. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. 10, 9, 8. That was closer. Still over a minute. So annoying. I'll take the bet, $5. Oh man, I did not make it. I was over by 3 seconds. All right, let's see. We would sort into 4 piles being... oh, yeah. Do not sort it into 4 piles. That takes even longer. And work our way from hearts, clubs, diamonds, and spades. We'll make some side bets. 3-1 odds on Mark making it this time. I don't know if side betting's allowed in this casino. Victor says, I'm known to be a conservative player. My big hands look obvious. How do I fix that? Bluff more? So, super happy to answer that. Let's see. No, bluff more is not the answer. Learn the game of poker is really the answer. It's not as simple of a fix as something like make one adjustment. It's you want to really learn what you're doing and how to have plans and how to tell stories as a poker player and all that stuff. I mentioned this before. There's a YouTube channel that I am in that I'm just starting to build with a poker pro called Live Poker Coaching. One word, Live Poker Coaching. If you search for that, you'll find one video there. It's going to be a series of 500 hands that are in sequence for 2-5 no limit cash game. And we simulate it out and discuss every single decision. Like if you watch all of those or even some of those, it will really help give you perspective into some of the things that are a problem. So if you're a conservative player, you're probably not playing enough hands, right? It means that you need to put yourself in more situations and play profitable poker in those situations, which includes bluffing more, but it also includes having value more often. If you guys wanted to do double or nothing, by the way, very nice that someone's betting against me. Great. If you guys want to do double or nothing, I will beat the time of 1 minute on the next time. So if you guys want to get back to even, I'm happy to succeed this time, and I'm saying it, so I have to do it, right? I don't plan on talking much during that minute though. But I've just done it a couple times, so I feel much better about it now. But yeah, Victor, the Live Poker Coaching channel, we got together with a couple of good production specialists, video editors, and we are cranking out these hands that are all in sequence. And the idea is at the start of a 2-5 cash game, everyone starts with that $500 stack, but by hand 500, there's some deep stacks, there's some interesting spots. It all changes as you go. And so we showcase that whole thing. All right, I'm going to do this again because, as you can tell, I'm pissed off. I'm trying to get you guys to bet on it. It's silly. I want to beat a minute because I'm annoyed. All right, I'm going to do it I'll do it at 23:30. All right, so we're shuffling. Watch Mark suit a deck. All right, double or nothing, Raven says. And he gave him 3-1 too. Saying I can't do it. All right, I will start at 30. Go. I have no idea how my pace is. It's the hard thing about this. Done. Hey, I did it by a second. All right, I feel better. That was stressing. I did beat it by 1 second, so I feel good about that. It's still I like to be 4 or 5 seconds under, but whatever. The fastest I've seen it, by the way, using that other method is like 36 seconds. It's crazy how fast you can go that way if you don't spend the initial time doing anything. When you train your eyes to suit a deck like that, it's just much better. I think if I did that 5 times, I would get under a minute consistently if I did the other method too. He said woot. Back to even. Does anybody want me to do the boring method? Ben called it the boring method earlier. Cheers, matey. Victor, what do you think of the feedback I gave you? Like, do you have any more questions? Because I'm happy to answer them. Like, I'm not a poker pro in terms of playing to that degree. I teach people how to deal mostly, but I absolutely feel confident in my ability to guide somebody with poker play. Like, if you gave me a situation, I could speak to it for sure. Especially doing all this content with a poker coach. You're about to dip into the kid college fund. Nice. All right. I'm going to do it just because I want to do it with the other method because, we're not doing a whole lot else right now. And it's a good way to pass time. I do want to say it again just because it's important to me to say this. For the next 10 people who purchase the subscription of the full course on YouTube, so they join the membership on YouTube, I am totally happy to give them an hour-long one-on-one audition where I give specific feedback that can really make a difference in passing a dealer audition. If you feel like you're good, you could purchase it and get it anyway. I mean, it's $50 for an hour with me where you get a higher chance of getting a job. So, yeah, I feel like it's such a good thing, and I'm not going to be doing this forever because, my goal is not to run a dealer school. My goal is to create this content so that people can refer to it over and over again. Jessica says, what's the best way to pitch the cards? So Jessica, I do want to refer you to a video that I've created. If you go to my channel and you find the video called The Pitch Mechanics, I'll type that in the chat. True Poker Dealer video, The Pitch Mechanics. I teach that. You could search that in YouTube and you'd find it. I teach that, and it's pretty on point. It's like it's gonna explain it better than I'll explain it right now. I'll still explain it right now as well. I'll still explain it real quick right now. So let's see. You can see this here. You would bring your arms up close to you, not this high. This is where the camera shows. But what you do is you get your deck grip like this. It's loose. You can see about how high my fingers come up. They're basically holding the cards in place, but you never want to expose one of them, right? And then, let's see. Raven, I see your question. Damn it. I'll still answer it, though. What you do is you basically push a card off the top, okay? You want it to be as little motion as possible. You don't want your wrist to move a lot, or at all, ideally. You push a card off the top by pushing the corner down, and you use these other fingers to protect it. You do not expose it, so you keep it level with the table. And if you grab the upper right corner with your thumb and your forefinger and you angle your wrist up toward the ceiling, your palm toward the ceiling a little bit, you're going to get yourself a situation where this middle finger, so you grab like this, index finger flat. Again, I show this really, really nicely in that video. Thumb on top where you're kind of pinching it, and then your middle finger, you have to basically practice the timing of pushing with this middle finger and releasing with these two at the right timing. And you just kind of get used to that as you do it more. So let me move this out of the way. I'll put myself up here for now. So you get used to this timing. And I teach 2 different ways to do it. One of them is one of them is quicker, and it just kind of gets the cards out there. The other one is you go a little deeper into the card, and you're pitching where you get that nice rotation where it just kind of goes here. I'll show you. You can see that, but yeah, I show all that in there. You'll see that later on. So So I'm seeing some more questions. So I'm guessing that you guys don't want to see me suit any more decks, which is fine. Let's see. So Raven says, how many different possible starting hands in Hold'em are there if suit is a factor? So for example, Ace of Hearts, King of Clubs is different than Ace of Clubs, King of Hearts, or King of Spades. Let's see. Let's see. How many starting hands in Texas? I'm saying Texas Hold'em is your question. Let's see. There's 1,326 combinations, and 169 of them are distinct. So 1,326 is the correct answer. That's all. Let's see. I don't have a chart to show you this time, Raven. So what do conversations sound like between floors when there's an extremely close call in a tournament? Usually there's one person that's kind of the default decision maker in a tournament. So I'm assuming that this is a situation where they're needed. If the situation requires them, then the conversation is going to be them asking the other people what happened from their perspective, possibly them going to the table to get additional information in order to be able to make that decision. And when you say an extremely close call, and you're asking what the conversation sounds like, it sounds like a hunt for the truth. It's a hunt for the truth and then an application of the rules. So the supervisor will be there and they will be asking questions to whoever needs to be asked questions, like really freely and with purpose. And the tone of the conversation will be very serious, honestly. It's, when there's a close call in some way for a floor call, and I mean, I've been a supervisor for 7+ years and a shift manager during that time as well for a couple of those years. Let's see. It's almost like a high pressure situation that's not high pressure at all, right? The person making the decision is usually going to be trained. They're usually going to know how to handle these situations. So they're going to come in and it's going to be as efficient as possible. Their goal is to get the game moving again. But they also don't want like supervisors have to avoid setting precedents. It's actually a big deal when you're in a poker room and you're making decisions. People remember that decision. The players remember that decision. The staff remembers that decision, and they expect it the next time. So there's a lot of careful language that has to be used, and it's just a very preventative moment. But yeah, the conversation's serious. It's a hunt for truth, and if you give me a specific one, I can give more insight into it. Color Up says, are poker dealers usually exclusive to the game, or are they general casino dealers that deal blackjack and all the carnival games too? Great question, as have all of these been. In general, so I worked at a very small casino from 2007 to 2009. When I was working at that very small casino, the poker dealers were in the same department as table games dealers, and they would all get rotated through. That's the only place I've honestly ever heard of that. Most places, the poker department is completely separate from the table games department, maybe with the exception of the person that's above all of table games will also be above the poker room manager. But they're two totally different jobs in most places. And I mean, honestly, for good reason. Poker is, it's a specialized type of dealing. It takes a long time to learn how to do it well. Craps is a similar thing. Even though craps falls in the table games department, a lot of the times the craps dealers at the higher end, more volume casinos just deal craps for the most part all day, because it's just such a valuable skill when you learn how to do it well. Which, I want to be super clear, craps, aka dice, harder to deal than poker by far. After craps, poker is the hardest game to deal, but craps is by far more challenging. And with good reason, dice dealers are proud, right? They should be, because it's really, really hard to do. And I'm making it sound like an incredibly challenging thing. It is pretty hard, right? I took a partial course in craps. I've dealt craps before. I was never good enough to have there be more than like 6 people on a table that were playing. So I could handle that, but it can be difficult. Raven says, can you split a banana like Chris Ferguson? Because I've been messing around with TikTok lately, I found the answer is I don't know. I've never actually tried. If I were to learn the way to do it, there's someone that's on TikTok that does it that I follow. It's just some kid that like throws cards at fruit. They split a zucchini, if I remember right, a banana with the peel. They cut into it. It also depends what kind of cards you're using, but like the intensity that I can pitch a card and the speed at which I can do it, I'm gonna do it with some paper cards to show you. It's like I can pitch them fast and hard, but I'm not sure that I can do it so fast and so hard that I could bust anything open. Let's do this for a moment. So I'm going to take some paper cards. I really recommend never using plastic cards to pitch with when you're like messing around with them, unless you're like doing a specific thing. But a plastic card will chip and then you won't be able to use it anymore. But like I can pitch pretty fast, but it's not using the method, like it's using a poker dealing method, like can you even see it? I can't tell if you guys can see how fast they're going. I don't know that this would cut a banana. What do you think? I'm trying to like hit the... Ooh, that's actually pretty cool. It's stuck right there. Can you guys see that? No, you can't. I was able to stick it into the monitor. Maybe you can argue that's pretty impressive. Here, I'll show that. Oh, I got this in the way. So you can see the card stuck right in the monitor here. Oh. Yeah, it's pretty good. So, I don't know, maybe it's the answer. Let me fix that other one. I have a mess to clean up now, thanks to you guys. Let's see. I can definitely get some distance on it, but there is a specific method for the thing that you guys are talking about. Now I have this weird feeling where I really want to clean up, but that would take away from everything. Oh well. Let me see. I have no idea where I got these cards from. It's just... Maybe it was in one of the chip sets. Let's see. And we're back. Let's see. Can you eat blueberries like Jamie Gold? I don't know how Jamie Gold eats blueberries. I don't even know what you're asking. Here, let me put this back to like the smaller size. I feel like my hair looks like it's like a silver fox, as I've been told once before, but that's just the camera today. I'll be fully gray at some point, but nowhere near it yet. Alright, where are we here? I had a fellow casino employee cutting my hair while I was in Washington State. She was a casino and she was a dealer and she owned a salon. And that first time that she was cutting my hair like 12 years ago, and she said, "Oh, Mark, you just had gray hair." I was like, damn it. It's like one of those moments that I never forget, because it's the first time that I was told by anybody that I had any gray hair. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know how Jamie Gold eats blueberries. Super curious, but I bet I can do it. Let's see. My casino has poker looped in with the table games. I auditioned for both last weekend. Oh, cool. Yeah, there are some casinos. They're usually like one-off casinos that are smaller, but they will cycle the dealers through. And then some of them have like the primary poker dealers, if there's like a 5-table room, it'll be like the primary poker dealers, and then sometimes they have other people that can do it that they'll take from the table games department, maybe dual rate them or something. There's all kinds of interesting solutions, but for the most part, like all of the poker rooms in South Florida, for instance, every single one of them is one or the other. There's no combination. Although now that I'm thinking about it, only a few of the casinos even have table games down here. Raven said, awesome, dude. Hope you get the job. And Ben said, I did. I start soon. Thank you. Let's see. Cheers, good. Yeah, that's solid. That would have cut a baby monkey's head off. Well, I'm glad that I did not aim it at a baby monkey. Did you just yeet your monitor? I think so. The blueberries thing is from a classic Poker After Dark episode. All right, I'll have to check that out at some point. Sounds cool. Let's see. Oh, if I put this here, it hides my keyboard beautifully. And yet, I have a keyboard still. So, let's see. Silence. I'm honestly, the thing that I'm thinking right now is I have like 4 or 5 cards that are just a mess. I'm gonna go get them. I'll be back in 1 second while I go get these cards that I threw all over the room. I was trying to get them to go right at the camera. There we go. I think that's about all of them. All right, so let's run a PLO high-low hand. All right, why not? Let's see. I'm gonna have to move this a little bit. Not a problem. All right, and so you want one hand of PLO high-low. What limit? YouTube chat plays PLO. Because of the delay, I've had trouble with stuff like that. Because this is on like a 15-second delay or so. YouTube does that, which I think is a smart thing to make the video a lot smoother. Let's see. I will, how about we do this? I'll let you guys be this seat over here. And I'm going to give everybody a few hundred. Can we see all these stacks? I think so. Let's see. Raven says, I know, Mark. You could have a camera in the center of a target that you put 20 feet away and pitch a deck right into the camera. That would be pretty cool. I would totally do that. All right. Let me get a few more black chips. I don't have them, so I'll get some green. All right. Here we go. Nobody's that deep still. All right. This will be your hand, guys. So you're this hand right here. You're starting with, we'll say about 2,500. All right. And all right, we'll do 5-5 PLO high-low, which is pretty cray, but we're good. I don't know if this deck was suited. You know what? I'm just gonna wash it. Look at that. I can't even deal a hand if I think in a pretend hand that the deck might have been suited to start. Seat 8 looks light. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe I should space these out a little bit. Seat 8 has almost 500. They're all right. Let me just space it out though for myself. All right. So I'll give you guys this. All right, 5, 5. So we are going to deal this. I hate short pitching. I have to like pitch directly to the seats because I have to be the one to handle all the cards. I'm just gonna go like this. It just makes it so much easier if I make sure that the cards are in the right spot. You would of course never ever ever do this in a casino, but you're also not dealing out hands yourself. All right, so you're good. All right, so you guys will be this hand right here, okay? And any other hand that I deem necessary. Here, I'm gonna look at this one. This is a fold. So I'm actually playing this as a high-low. This is a call. We go like that when we're in. This is a fold. I'm going to show you guys what this is. That's a fold. Just so you guys can see. This is a fold. We'll make this a call. And so weird doing this high-low. That's a fold. That's a fold. All right, you guys are first. I'm not looking. I hope you guys can see it. All right, what are we doing? I'm going to look at this next hand while we're waiting. What does the chat say we are doing? Raven, you're in for 5 already. It's been limped around. I'm not going to fold. Check. Trash. Check. All right. Checking it is. And this hand's going to check as well. So in high-low games, you take one chip off the top, you put it right there, and that's what you use to burn under the whole time. All right. So you guys are first. I'll show you the hand again. It's check or bet. So what do you guys say? You're first. I have to like look at what these hands are again. Check or bet, check or bet. What do you check or bet? I see a couple of checks. All right. This hand checks. We'll say this hand bets 20. This hand folds. And your turn. So this player bet the pot, and it's your turn. I see one fold. I'm going to either go with the majority or the quickest to answer. So it'll be fold in 5, fold in 4, fold in 3, fold in 2, fold in 1, fold. All right. So let's see what you guys had. You had nothing. 1 heart. Yeah, that's a fold. And we'll let this hand call. So now you guys get to be this hand. All right. So you're going to go first. This is your hand on the big blind. All right. So you guys go first. Here's the turn. It's another 10. So you're first, check or bet with your second hand. Check or bet, check or bet. There's some stream delay. Yeah, there is. I mean, there's always a stream delay though. Pulling the small blind hand, it's gone already. Oh no, this was their card cover. I already brought that in. Let's see. Like just like this, I put a chip on it because I just find it's easier for me to keep track of the hands. Let's see. So I heard a couple of checks. One person said bet pot. Somebody said check. Somebody said drawing dead. So I'm going to say check as kind of the majority here. And this player is going to bet, we'll say 30. So now you're faced with a $30 bet to call. Notice how this is all stacked up. $30 to call. What do you say? I'm curious what you guys will say. All right, I get one person say call 30. By the way, is anybody else keeping track of the pot? I hear from a poker playing standpoint, it says, oof, probably fold, but I'll entertain a call. Call. All right, well, Raven said call a couple times. All right, I've got 2 people saying call. We're going to call. And I'll bring this chip in here just to make it easier. So we'll bring this in just like that. And here's the river. So check or bet. These hands are interesting. They always are interesting. What do you guys do? Check or bet? Vegas said don't like a call. Well, regardless, you called. But I respect the fact that you folded in your head. So we would probably go like this at this point. Dead zone. What do you guys do? Check or bet? It's pot limit, and Alejandro says bet the pot, I suppose, says all in, but check since there's no low. Should have folded on the turn, Vegas says. All right, so I've got an all in, I've got a check, and I've got a what the hell are we doing in this hand? 2 people say check. Let's see. Does anyone else have another play? So this player is going to check to speed things up a little bit, and this player, let's see, They're going to bet 75. So we'll go like this to make it clear. 75 is the bet. So it's 75 to call. What say you? And that is correct. As a dealer, you would never ever say this. If the players are talking about it, you would stop them. However, as you can see, this board does not have a low possible. I think the quality is looking pretty decent. You can read this stuff pretty well. I'm happy about that. So 75 to call. What do you guys say? Raven says call. Could bluff here, but I'd fold. So I've got one call and one fold. What do we think? What are we doing? Vegas, what do you say? Alejandro, what do you say? What do you guys think? I need a tiebreaker here. Somebody to say what they would do that's different. One person said call, one person said fold. Does anybody else have something? All right, I'm going to have this player call. Oh, Alejandro says call. Perfect. All right. So we get a call, and now it's time for the showdown. And so we take this off of here. Now we've got two even stacks. This player will show first. They show the nut flush. This player will show second. They show a weaker flush. So the instincts of not going against the top flush were correct. And we muck this hand, and then we push both halves of the pot over here, which I wouldn't necessarily do it the way I just did it. In a high-low game, it kind of can be done, so it's not a huge deal. Do we want to play another one, or do we want to move on? I feel like Here, let's do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play a hand face up for everybody, and I'll let everybody see the decisions that I make, and you guys can talk about whether or not you would have made the same decisions. All right, so I'm going to be the dealer and all the players at the same time. And we'll go 5-5 blinds, and just like this. And it's funny that you said your girlfriend is like, what are you doing, man? Let's see. Yeah, this is the part that I don't like, because the cards get all jumbled. By the way, pitching is something that you end up getting a rhythm for while you're doing it. So like, one of the greatest feelings in the world is being at a large enough table where you can pitch, and it feels good because the cards are coming out and you're pitching to all the spots. And this spot here is really tough. It's one thing that I kind of hate about these demos. I don't get to actually pitch the cards. All right, so I'm going to flip all these hands up as I make these decisions. So we can play two. So there's kings and fours here, and one of the kings is suited. I'm going to say, I don't know what's profitable here, but for me, it's good enough to limp because here we've got a suited ace and an ace four. I'm going to say, I'm going to say probably a fold, but we're going to call anyway. Here we've got four low cards. Because of the high-low nature, I think this is probably a fold too, but we're going to limp. I don't know much about how to play winning high-low Omaha. This is an absolute monster right here. Aces double suited with 2 wheel cards. So this is a raise right here for sure. And as soon as I say I don't know much about this, so we're going pot. How much is it? Did you say 35? All right, now let's look at this hand. So just so we can see it, it's 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. This is 10s with a 5 tray. It's not worth the raise. I mean, you can make the argument the 5 tray is a possible low, blah, 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 but I'm going to say no, it's a fold. Let's see. 8s with a 10. This is not really a good hand for a high-low game. Let's see. We got queens. Not a single one of these cards are suited with the 10-8. I'm going to say this is a fold, but we're going to call because it's way more fun to do that. But in a high-low game especially, that would be probably a fold. And here we've got jacks. Boy, this hand is loaded. Jacks with a suited jack and a 7-9. Again, this is almost definitely a fold in this game because it's high-low. And I don't play enough PLO to really have a strategy for what to do otherwise. But I'm going to call because it's way more fun. Deuces with a 9-6. See ya. We don't need that. And this blind goes in the middle. And then we've got, oh yeah, the kings and 4s. We're just going to have them call whether or not that's profitable. And we're going to have this hand call the suited ace with the 8-4 queen. People love their low hands. And we'll have this one call too. If you remember what it was. Great. All right. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players to the flop. Does anybody else know that that's $215 in the pot? All right, so this player's first. So they've got this hand right here. There's not a lot they can do other than check here. I'm going to actually leave these hands face up. This player checks as well. This player checks. This player, let's see. They like this. They've got the ace-3 for the nut possible low. They've got 3 of a kind 6s. This seems like a monster right now. So if they say pot, we all understand, right? So what they're going to do is they're going to bet, we'll say they bet pot, which is 215. And the way that we get to 215 was we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players, which we said at 35 each. So a little shortcut is 6 times 30. If you forget about the 5s, is 180. 5 times 6 is 30. So that's 210 plus the $5 from the folded big blind is 215. So this player bet pot. Vegas likes it. I like it too. And now let's look at this one. So this hand is aces. They did pair a deuce. Not a whole lot that's exciting about that though. Flushes don't seem to matter in this hand. This is probably a fold. You know, we're assuming that they can't see this. They're like, well, chances are I'm against a 6. There's not there's not a lot of draws, and because the deuce landed out here, the possible low is relatively weak for them. So this hand should be a fold in this spot. So Alejandro said half pot. So you might make an argument that this bet was too aggressive, but in any high-low game, when you get a chance to win the whole pot without showdown, it's actually a very valuable thing. Although this hand does seem to have it pretty locked up. So this hand's going to, we'll say this hand's going to fold, as they probably should. This hand with the queens, there's just not a lot for them to chase. They're going to fold 2. Jacks, not a lot for them to chase. They're going to fold. Kings and 4s, they feel pretty inferior. And this hand, they don't have a whole lot either. So this one's going to win it. And if you noticed, I should have stacked this pot. I did not. It's definitely a pain to have to stack it and make everybody wait at the end. Now, obviously, I didn't have to stack it, but I'm doing this just to try to be consistent with how you're supposed to deal it. It's not. I've never dealt a high-low pot limit game in a casino before. I've dealt pot limit only. So this player is going to get this whole pot. And by the way, if you are dealing a game like this and you realize that you forgot to stack the pot, you just basically take that middle note and you fix it then, and you fix it for the next hand. So Vegas says, totally agree. When you can avoid chopping pot plus EV, yeah. I appreciate the support on that. Again, I'm not totally sure that I'm right. I'm sure that there's some strategy there that's better than that, but that's the strategy that I come up with. So let's see. All right, what do we want to do now, guys? Does anybody have a request for what we do right now? I'm flicking up a deuce while I'm waiting. Whew. Let's see. By the way, I appreciate all the questions, and I appreciate all the comments here today, guys. It definitely makes this enjoyable. It's nice seeing some new people in here too. I hate selling people on things, but I do want to mention that I do have a 38 lesson course on how to deal Texas Hold'em. That's good. It can help you get a job as a dealer. People generally need to go to school in order to become poker dealers. I've had success with people learning through this course and through True Poker Dealer in general. And I hate like pushing and selling stuff, but at the same time, I feel like there's much more value there than I let on, and I want people to experience it is really how I feel about it. That's why I decided to do the lessons live for free originally. It was so I could get the feedback and so that people could honestly experience it. Let's see. Alejandro says, what is the sickest draw you've ever dealt? Let's see. I'm going to be very, very, very honest here. I want to come up with such a good answer to this, but as a dealer, you become really desensitized. Like, you've seen it all by the time you've dealt for a few months. And I also don't have that type of memory because, like, I've seen so many hands of poker, both as a poker player, as a supervisor, and especially as a dealer. You see hand after hand after hand after hand. So somebody hitting a runner against somebody else when they're all in pre-flop, I've probably dealt that like 50 times. It just comes with dealing that many hands. And sometimes dealers end up getting nicknames. I know one dealer I've worked with used to be nicknamed the Terminator. A player also used to be nicknamed that, but It can be like as sick as you can imagine is the answer, right? So as a supervisor, I have absolutely seen somebody get beat that had quads, get beat by a straight flush. There's so many different things like that I've seen. Have you ever disqualified a promotion like Royals, high hands, bad beats, etc. because of verbal remarks and have it actually hit? The most common disqualification that I did, the answer is probably, if I'm being honest, if it appeared that people were cheating, there have been plenty of times where I've took that into account, where people are playing together, or somehow trying to manipulate the hand in order to get enough money in the pot is the one that I have definitely had to disqualify hands where they're communicating and colluding, essentially. The one that came up the most frequently, though, So I've probably worked at 3 different properties that had high hands, and there was one room where the players were so technical and the way that they handled the clock, basically somebody would see that there's quad sixes up on the board, and they would have quad fours, and they would hold each street. They would make it take a very long time when it was their decision, even if it was a 1-2 no limit game and there wasn't really much to decide, and they would extend it so that they would get their high hand tabled into the next high hand period according to the clock. So you'd sometimes hear a story where like a player is stalling for 2 minutes at the river with no reason to do it, and then they end up like checking the river or betting the river or announcing to the table I have a high hand. It's one of those really tricky situations because as a dealer, it's like you have to maintain the integrity of the job, and you're also probably looking at a decent tip. And I mean, I'm the person, because I came from the supervising side too, I'm the person that would always tell them they can't do that, and if it costs me my tip, it costs me my tip. But as a supervisor, I have disqualified at least 15 of those over the years where somebody, you know what, I'll say at least 10. It's been a lot where somebody was stalling in order to try to win the high hand. And it's one of those things you can review. You literally just go to surveillance and watch them to determine, because the thing is, this is a question of whether or not that hand gets to go up for the next high hand period, and therefore whether or not it gets to win. But what happens is, if you have quad fours that you put up there right away, well, what happens if nobody beats that the entire time? That means that somebody else that was supposed to win doesn't end up winning. So we would then make sure that the hand, it's not just about it being tabled, because you can't let people stall forever. It's just not right. So that's something that would happen. Yeah, dealing out a bad beat jackpot is the ultimate sickest hand you can deal. A lot of bad beats only count when there's 2 cards in the hand that count. So, I mean, sometimes you end up with like the 1 card straight flush that beats quads, but if it happens and it goes runner into the river, then it's a bad beat, but it might not qualify for the bad beat jackpot for a place that has that. So that's definitely something that's happened as well. But let's see. Well, I feel pretty good about today, and I think I'm going to do the wind down thing where I take questions for another few minutes. And I feel like, you know, the main thing I tried to talk about today was the fact that I am now actually offering one-on-one auditions for free to the first 10 people that purchase that join my channel as a full member, meaning they get membership access to all 38 lessons. I'm super happy to do that. You are going to have to reach out to me and email me, because I, believe it or not, I don't have access to people on YouTube other than like here. But when somebody joins, I don't get an email address for them. I don't get any info. I don't have any way to chat with them. So I do want to be clear. Somebody that wants to do this is going to have to reach out to me. But if somebody, thank you so much, a super chat, I appreciate that. If somebody does decide to, every time I get a super chat, I forget that they exist, and then somebody hits me up for that, and I super appreciate it, and I'm always caught off guard. So thank you for that. I lost my train of thought. It's very nice of you. It's like some people that do live streams that do dealing stuff, they put a thing up like always tip your dealer. I've told myself I absolutely don't want to be that guy. And I feel good about my decision there. But yeah, thank you. So the thing I was saying was, if somebody does purchase the $49.99 a month membership, and they get access to all 38 lessons, and you want a one-on-one video audition, I will absolutely help with that for the first 10 people that purchase, but you have to reach out to me, otherwise I won't have any way to contact you. That's what I was trying to say. YouTube doesn't provide that, which I think is a pretty cool thing. But Urzus Maine, thank you so much. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it. It's such an interesting feeling to do a live stream and receive a tip, essentially. It's cool. it's like so normal on a poker table if someone throws me a $5 chip, and it's so not normal like this. I love it. It's really cool. But yeah, does anybody have any more questions? You guys have another minute or so. Get your questions in, and we'll be good. Anybody? Well, as always, thank you guys very much. I will be back next Tuesday at 2 o'clock. My goal each Tuesday now is to have a theme. I feel like I want the theme to last longer than it did today. So expect whatever it is that the theme of the session, expect it to be something that is more like a game for people for a half hour at least. And as always, everybody can ask questions. Everybody can ask questions as we go. And he says, believe it or not, it's pronounced my knee. Oh, cool. That's good to know. And my apologies for getting that wrong. I appreciate you correcting me. I always would rather know. So that's Urzas, my knee. Or possibly Urzas. Or possibly Yoursus. Who knows? But, all right. I feel good about this session. And thank you, everybody, for being here and for being awesome as always. And like I said, next Tuesday, I will have a theme that's set up that lasts a bit longer. So thanks for joining, and goodbye.